Welcome back to our channel, Rare Coins Collection, where we explore the hidden treasures of the numismatic world. Today, we've got something really special for you, a coin that's probably sitting in your change jar right now. It's the United States 1-cent piece from 1981. At first glance, it might look like just another penny, but this small coin could actually hold a big surprise. Stick around until the end of the video to find out how much this 1981 penny could be worth today. You won't believe the final number. Let's rewind the clock a bit. 1981. Ronald Reagan was in the White House, and the United States was in the middle of a transition period. It was a time of political change, technological advancement, and economic challenges. As the world was evolving, so was U.S. currency. In fact, in 1981, the U.S. Mint produced billions of 1-cent coins to meet the demands of everyday transactions. These pennies were part of the regular circulation, and most of them were used in purchases across the country, without much thought or fanfare. The design on the 1981 penny, of course, features the profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor D. Brenner. This iconic image has been featured on the penny since 1909. On the reverse, we see the image of the Lincoln Memorial, which has adorned the back of the penny since 1959. But while these designs are well known and loved, the 1981 penny holds an intriguing secret. Some of these pennies were struck with a rare error that could make them worth thousands of dollars today. Let's take a closer look at the design of this particular coin. On the obverse, we have the famous bust of President Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln, the 16th president, is a symbol of unity and freedom in American history, and his image is one of the most recognized in the world. The reverse side features the Lincoln Memorial, which serves as a tribute to Lincoln's legacy and the preservation of the Union. The memorial has been a staple of the penny design since 1959, replacing the original wheat ears design. It's a beautiful and historic coin, one that millions of Americans have carried in their pockets for over 60 years. But here's where it gets interesting. While the design of the 1981 penny is standard, there's something else at play that could make this coin far more valuable than its face value of just 1 cent. So, what makes the 1981 penny special? The answer lies in a rare minting error that occurred that year, a double die error. You may be familiar with this type of mistake, as it's one of the most sought-after errors in coin collecting. A double die error happens when the coin is struck multiple times during the minting process. When the die used to stamp the design on the coin is not aligned properly, it creates a doubling effect in certain parts of the design. In the case of the 1981 penny, this error is most often visible in the date, where the 1 and 9 in the year 1981 appear to be doubled. At first glance, you might not even notice the doubling, but with a magnifying glass, the difference becomes clear. The doubling effect can often be seen on the digits of the year and the lettering around the edge of the coin. These errors were not common and are considered highly collectible by numismatists. So why is the 1981 double die penny so valuable? The key to its value is rarity. While millions of 1981 pennies were minted, only a small fraction were struck with the double die error, and even fewer were preserved in excellent condition. The rarity of the error is what makes it so desirable to collectors. Over the years, these rare pennies have gained a reputation as one of the most sought-after error coins from the 1980s. Collectors love finding these coins because of their uniqueness, and because they represent a piece of history that only a few lucky individuals will ever come across. And it's not just about the error itself. If the coin is in near mint or mint condition, its value can skyrocket. A well-preserved 1981 double die penny can fetch far more than its face value, or even than other error pennies, because it represents a rare and unique mistake in the minting process. Now, the question you're probably asking is, how can you find one of these rare 1981 double die pennies? Well, you might be surprised to learn that finding one of these coins isn't as hard as you might think. If you know what to look for. First, start by checking your own change. It's always a good idea to check through old pennies, especially if you have rolls of 1981 pennies lying around. If you're lucky, you may just stumble upon a double die error without even realizing it. However, most of these rare error coins are already in the hands of collectors, so it's not always easy to find one in circulation. Another place to look for these rare coins is at local coin shops, auctions, or online marketplaces where collectors often sell rare finds. You can also try to track down these rare coins through online forums or coin dealers who specialize in error coins. So, what's the big question? How much is a 1981 penny with a double die error worth? Well, if you're lucky enough to find one of these rare coins in excellent condition, the price might surprise you. A well-preserved 1981 double die penny could be worth an impressive $36,000. That's right, $36,000 for a single 1-cent coin. It's hard to believe that a coin worth just 1 cent could be worth such a large sum, but this is exactly why collectors and investors are so passionate about finding these rare errors. So, next time you dig through your change jar or check the back of your couch cushions, remember this: a 1981 penny might be worth much more than you think. It could be the key to a small fortune. Today, we're going to talk about the 1982 1-cent coin, also known as the penny. At first glance, it looks like just another coin, right? But stick around, because this little penny could be worth more than you ever imagined, way more. You won't believe how much it's worth today. Trust me, you'll want to see this. Let's take a quick step back to 1982. The early 80s were an exciting time in American history. Ronald Reagan had just taken office as president, the Cold War was ongoing, and personal computers were starting to make their way into homes. In the world of currency, however, something significant was happening too. In 1982, the United States Mint faced a challenge. Due to rising copper prices, the cost of producing pennies had become higher than their face value. So, the U.S. Mint made a decision. They switched the composition of the penny from 95% copper to 97.5% zinc. That's right, the 1982 penny is actually split into two distinct types. You see, for part of the year, the U.S. Mint still made pennies using the old copper formula, but later in the year, they switched to a new zinc formula, which made the pennies cheaper to produce. This change created two different versions of the same coin, a major factor in its rarity and potential value. Now, here's where things get interesting. The copper pennies from 1982, especially those that were minted early in the year, are the ones you'll want to look out for. They're much rarer than their zinc counterparts, and that rarity could be your ticket to a big payday. Before we dive deeper into the value, let's take a quick look at the design of the 1982 penny. The obverse features the profile of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, designed by artist Victor D. Brenner. This portrait of Lincoln has been on the penny since 1909, making it one of the most iconic coin designs in history. On the reverse, we have the famous image of the Lincoln Memorial. This design, which replaced the original wheat ears reverse in 1959, symbolizes the preservation of the Union and the legacy of Abraham Lincoln. It's simple, but it's a design that represents American history and values. However, despite these beautiful and timeless designs, it's the composition of the penny itself that makes the 1982 version so unique and valuable. Let's dive into why this seemingly ordinary coin could be worth so much. So, let's talk about the rare variants of the 1982 penny. As we mentioned earlier, there were two major types of pennies minted that year, the copper penny and the zinc penny. But that's not all. The copper pennies, which were produced earlier in the year, are the ones that collectors are most interested in. These copper pennies were struck in limited numbers before the mint transitioned to zinc. And while most of the pennies minted that year are zinc-based, the copper pennies are significantly rarer, and therefore much more valuable. In addition to the copper versus zinc variation, there are also different mint marks, D for Denver and P for Philadelphia. While the Philadelphia Mint usually produced copper pennies in smaller quantities than Denver, both are sought after, but it's the copper version in mint condition that collectors are particularly after. Now here's where things get really interesting. Among the 1982 pennies, there is an even rarer find, the the 1982 error penny. This penny was struck with a doubled die error, a minting mistake where the design appears doubled, especially around the date and lettering. The double die error typically happens when the coin die is misaligned, causing parts of the design to overlap. When this happens, you'll see multiple images or outlines of the same design elements. These types of minting errors are highly sought after by collectors because they're incredibly rare and can be worth a lot more than a regular penny. The most noticeable place to spot a double die error is in the date. The digits in 1982 often appear thickened or duplicated, especially the 2 in the year. If you find one of these error pennies in excellent condition, you could be holding something worth far more than just 1 cent. So, why are these pennies worth so much? The key to their value lies in their rarity. As we've mentioned, only a small number of 1982 copper pennies were minted, and among those, even fewer survived in mint condition. But it's not just the composition. Error pennies are what really make these coins so valuable. In fact, it's the rarity of both the copper version and the error coins that makes the 1982 penny such a hot item in the world of coin collecting. Now you're probably wondering, how can you find one of these rare 1982 error pennies? It's not an easy task, but it's definitely worth a try. First, check your own collection of change. If you have any 1982 pennies, pull them out and examine them carefully. Look for the double die error, especially around the date and the lettering. You'll need a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to spot the fine details. You can also try to purchase rolls of 1982 pennies from local coin shops, or check online auctions and coin dealers who specialize in error coins. But keep in mind, finding one of these rare pennies in great condition is no small feat. So, the big question: how much is a 1982 penny worth if you happen to find one with a double die error or in pristine condition? Well, if you've found one of these rare pennies in mint condition, you're in for a treat. A well-preserved 1982 copper penny with a double die error could be worth an incredible $34,000. Yes, that's right, $34,000 for a single penny. Who would have thought that a humble 1-cent coin could fetch such a high price? That's the power of rare minting errors and collectible coins. Can you believe it? A 1982 penny worth $34,000. If you have any pennies from 1982 lying around, it might be worth your time to dig through them and see if you've got one of these rare error coins. You could be holding a small fortune in your hands without even knowing it. Today, we've got an absolute gem for you, the United States 1-cent piece from 1976. At first glance, this might seem like just another penny you'd find in your change, but trust me, it's far more valuable than it looks. You won't believe how much this little coin could be worth today. Stay tuned till the end, because the price may surprise you. Let's take a moment to set the stage. The year is 1976, a monumental year in American history. The United States was celebrating its bicentennial, marking 200 years of independence from Britain. The nation was in full celebratory mode, with parades, fireworks, and commemorations taking place across the country. It was a time of pride, reflection, and national unity. In this same year, the U.S. Mint produced a special series of coins to honor the bicentennial, including a redesigned quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coin. But while these special coins got a lot of attention, there was also a seemingly ordinary penny minted in 1976. And it's this very penny, this seemingly average 1-cent piece, that could be worth a small fortune today. So, what makes the 1976 penny so valuable, especially when it seems like just another standard coin? The answer lies in a rare error that happened during its minting. First, let's take a closer look at the design. The 1976 penny still features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor D. Brenner. Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, has graced the penny since 1909, making it one of the most enduring and iconic designs in U.S. currency. On the reverse, we have the traditional image of the Lincoln Memorial, which has adorned the back of the penny since 1959. This design was meant to symbolize the preservation of the Union and to honor Lincoln's legacy as the president who guided the country through its greatest crisis, the Civil War. But as you may know, sometimes coins have hidden secrets that make them worth more than their face value. And the 1976 penny is no exception. So, let's talk about what really makes this penny special. While most 1976 pennies are nothing more than just a 1-cent coin, there's a rare version with a significant minting error, known as the double die error. This occurs when the coin is struck more than once during the minting process, causing a slight misalignment of the design. The result? Certain parts of the coin, like the date, letters, and numbers, appear to be doubled or even tripled. In the case of the 1976 penny, the error is most noticeable on the date, 1976, where the digits are doubled or even tripled. If you're looking closely, you'll see that the number 1 and the 7 have a faint second image next to them, making it look like there are 2 7s or 2 1s. This mistake happened when the die was improperly aligned during the minting process, and it only affected a small number of coins. Now, spotting a double die error is a bit tricky, especially if you're not looking for it. But with the right magnification and attention to detail, you can clearly spot the doubled digits. It's a subtle mistake, but one that makes this penny incredibly valuable. While the standard 1976 penny is relatively common and worth just 1 cent, the double die 1976 penny is a different story. These error coins are extremely rare, especially in good condition. In fact, only a small percentage of the 1976 pennies struck that year actually contain the double die error, and they're highly sought after by collectors around the world. The rarity of these coins, and their unique minting mistake, is what makes them so valuable. In the world of numismatics, coins with errors are often worth significantly more than regular, mass-produced coins. So if you happen to have a 1976 penny with this double die error, you could be holding onto a rare and valuable piece of American history. As a result, collectors are always on the lookout for these rarities. If you've got one of these error pennies, you may want to have it professionally graded, as condition plays a huge role in determining its value. Now, you're probably wondering, how can you find a 1976 double die penny? Well, the good news is that these error coins are still out there. While they're rare, they are sometimes found in coin rolls or passed along in everyday change. The best place to start is by checking your own stash of pennies, particularly any 1976 pennies you may have lying around. Also, you might be able to find these error coins at local coin shops, auctions, or through specialized online dealers. If you come across a 1976 penny with the double die error, you've got yourself a potential treasure. So, how much is a 1976 penny with the double die error worth? If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare coins in excellent condition, the value might just blow you away. A well-preserved 1976 double die penny could be worth an astounding $54,000. Yes, that's right, $54,000 for a single penny. It's hard to believe that such a small coin could have such a big value, but in the world of rare coins, this kind of find is a real treasure. Can you believe it? A 1976 penny worth $54,000. If you have any 1976 pennies lying around, it might be time to give them a second look. You could be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it. Today, we're about to uncover the hidden value in a very special 1-cent coin, the 1980 United States penny. It may look like just another coin, but trust me, this little penny could be worth far more than you think. Stick around until the end, because the value of this coin might just blow your mind. Make sure to watch closely, because this coin has an incredible story, and a price tag that will leave you stunned. So, what makes the 1980 penny so special? Let's find out. Let's set the scene. The year is 1980, a time when the world was in the midst of political and social change. In the United States, President Jimmy Carter was in office, and the country was facing significant economic challenges, including high inflation and a growing energy crisis. It was also the year when the U.S. Mint was busy at work, producing billions of pennies for circulation as part of the regular coinage process. But what makes the 1980 penny stand out among the sea of pennies made that year? Well, here's the thing, though the 1980 penny was part of the regular issue, there's something unique about this coin that many collectors are eager to get their hands on. We're talking about a specific error that occurred during the minting process. And if you're lucky enough to find one of these error coins, you could be looking at a true treasure. Before we dive into the rare error, let's take a quick look at the design. The 1980 penny features the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor D. Brenner. Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, has been featured on the obverse of the penny since 1909. His image has become a symbol of American freedom, unity, and the preservation of the Union. On the reverse, we see the Lincoln Memorial, which has been the design on the back of the penny since 1959. This design symbolizes Lincoln's enduring legacy and his role in shaping the nation. Together, the front and back of the 1980 penny represent some of the most iconic elements of American history. So, here's where things get really interesting. The 1980 penny is fairly common, but certain error versions of this coin are extremely rare and incredibly valuable. One of the most sought-after errors is the double strike error. This happens when a coin is struck by the die more than once during the minting process, causing part of the design to overlap or double up. In the case of the 1980 penny, the date and lettering may appear doubled, making the coin instantly recognizable to collectors. As you can see here, the numbers in the date 1980 are doubled. This is a classic example of the double strike error. The misalignment during the minting process resulted in two impressions of the design, making the digits blurry and overlapping. In some cases, you may even see other parts of the coin's design, like the Liberty lettering or the "In God We Trust" slogan, appear with this doubled effect. And it's not just the date that can be affected. Some of these error coins also have doubled mint marks. If you happen to find a 1980 penny with a double mint mark, that could make it even more valuable. Now, why are error coins like this so valuable? The answer is simple: rarity. Most pennies struck in 1980 were produced without any issues, making the error coins incredibly scarce. When a minting mistake like this occurs, only a small percentage of coins are affected, and even fewer survive in good condition. Coin collectors and investors are always on the lookout for these rare finds, which is why the value of a double-strike 1980 penny has skyrocketed in recent years. Collecting coins with minting errors has become one of the most exciting parts of numismatics. Error coins are unique, each one is a one-of-a-kind piece of history. And as more collectors learn about these rare 1980 double-strike pennies, demand continues to grow. So, how can you find one of these rare 1980 double-strike pennies? It's not an easy task, but it's definitely worth the effort. Start by checking your own coin collection or going through rolls of pennies from 1980. Pay close attention to the date and look for any signs of doubling in the digits or other parts of the design. If you don't have any 1980 pennies in your collection, you can also look for them at coin shops, online auctions, and specialized dealers. But keep in mind, double-strike error coins are hard to come by, and they're likely to be priced higher than a typical penny. So if you spot one, make sure to grab it before someone else does. Now, the big question: how much is a 1980 double-strike penny really worth? Well, if you're fortunate enough to find one of these rare coins in excellent condition, you could be sitting on something worth a lot more than just 1 cent. A well-preserved 1980 double-strike penny could be worth a jaw-dropping $41,000. That's right, $41,000 for a single penny. It's unbelievable, but in the world of rare error coins, that's the kind of value you can expect from a truly exceptional find. Can you believe it? A 1980 penny worth $41,000. If you have any pennies from 1980 lying around, it might be time to check them closely. You could be holding a small fortune without even realizing it. Today, we have a very special episode for you, featuring a seemingly ordinary penny from 1978. But don't let its simple appearance fool you. This little 1-cent coin could be hiding something much more valuable than you think. Stick with us until the end, because you won't believe how much a 1978 penny is worth. This is one treasure you definitely want to keep an eye out for. Let's take a step back in time. The year is 1978, an era of change and growth for the United States. The country was in the middle of the 1970s, experiencing political shifts and economic challenges. President Jimmy Carter was in office, and the world was dealing with inflation, rising oil prices, and changing social norms. But in the world of U.S. coinage, there was something pretty interesting happening too. During this period, the U.S. Mint was busy producing billions of pennies for circulation, and the 1978 penny was no exception. These pennies were widely used in everyday transactions, just like any other year. But here's where it gets interesting. Some of these 1978 pennies were struck with a rare and significant error, a mistake that could make this ordinary penny worth an extraordinary sum of money. First, let's take a closer look at the design of the 1978 penny. On the obverse, we have the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln. His portrait, created by artist Victor D. Brenner, has graced the penny since 1909, making it one of the most iconic coin designs in U.S. history. Lincoln's face is a symbol of American freedom, unity, and leadership. On the reverse side, we see the Lincoln Memorial, which has been featured on the back of the penny since 1959. The memorial is a tribute to Lincoln's legacy as the leader who preserved the Union during the Civil War. This image continues to serve as a powerful reminder of Lincoln's role in shaping the United States. Now, here's where things get really interesting. While the standard 1978 penny looks just like any other regular penny, there's a rare version of the coin that was struck with a unique error, a mistake that happened during the minting process. And that mistake makes this penny incredibly valuable. It's known as the 1978 S/D mintmark error. How did this happen? Well, during the minting process, a die used to stamp the mintmark was mistakenly replaced or re-engraved. As a result, D mintmark, signifying that the coin was minted in Denver, was struck with an S mintmark from San Francisco on top of it. This created a distinct and noticeable double mintmark effect, where the S is clearly visible over the D, making the coin incredibly unique. As you can see, the difference is subtle but unmistakable. If you have a 1978 penny with this double mintmark, you've got something very special on your hands. Now, why is this S/D error so valuable? Simply put, it's rare. While the 1978 penny was produced in large numbers, only a very small number of these coins were struck with the double mintmark error. These coins were not intended to be released into circulation, which makes them highly collectible. Most of the time, the error was overlooked, and the pennies were quickly melted down or used for normal transactions. As with any rare error coin, the value increases significantly based on rarity and condition. The more pristine the coin, the higher its value. And, because this error was relatively uncommon, it's highly sought after by collectors all over the world. If you're lucky enough to find one of these coins, it's definitely something you'll want to keep in your collection. So, how can you find one of these rare 1978 error pennies? Well, your best bet is to check any 1978 pennies you have lying around, especially if they've been stored for years in a jar or old collection. You'll want to look for that distinctive double mintmark. If you come across a 1978 penny with the S/D error, you could be sitting on a small fortune. You can also check coin rolls, visit local coin shops, or explore online auction sites. But, remember, because of how rare these error coins are, they don't pop up every day, so keep your eyes peeled and your magnifying glass ready now, the moment you've been waiting for. If you happen to find a 1978 S/D penny in mint condition, you could be looking at a value that will make your jaw drop. That's right, a well-preserved 1978 S/D penny could be worth an astounding $49,000. Yes, you heard that right, $49,000 for a single penny. That's the kind of money you could potentially make from finding just one of these rare coins. Can you believe it? A penny worth $49,000. If you've got any 1978 pennies, now's the time to check them closely. You could have a hidden treasure in your pocket. Today, we've got something very special for you, a coin that may look like any other ordinary penny, but trust me, it's hiding a secret that could make it worth a small fortune. Yes, today we're talking about the 1979 United States 1-cent coin. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be amazed at just how much this little penny could be worth. You won't believe the value hidden in this unassuming coin, so let's dive right in. First, let's set the stage for the 1979 penny. The year was a time of political and social change in the U.S. President Jimmy Carter was in office, the country was dealing with the effects of a tough economy, and the energy crisis was still fresh in people's minds. But in the world of coinage, 1979 marked the production of billions of pennies at the U.S. Mint. Though the 1979 penny was part of the regular minting process, it had one feature that would soon make it a coveted item among coin collectors, a rare minting error that turned a seemingly ordinary penny into a true treasure. But what makes the 1979 penny so special? Let's take a closer look. As with all pennies, the 1979 1-cent coin features the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by artist Victor D. Brenner. Lincoln has been featured on the obverse of the penny since 1909, and his image symbolizes freedom, unity, and perseverance in the face of adversity. On the reverse side of the coin, we see the Lincoln Memorial, which has been featured on pennies since 1959. The memorial is a tribute to Lincoln's leadership and the preservation of the Union during the Civil War. This iconic design has made the penny one of the most recognizable coins in the world. Now, here's where things get really interesting. While most 1979 pennies are fairly standard, there's a rare error coin that is highly prized by collectors, the 1979 double strike penny. But how did this mistake happen? Well, the 1979 penny was struck at the San Francisco Mint, which produced a large quantity of pennies that year. However, during the minting process, a small error occurred. Some of the coins were struck more than once, creating a double strike effect. This meant that the mint mark, meant to appear just once, appears twice on the coin. In addition, the date itself may also be slightly doubled, making it even more unique. As you can see here, the mint mark is clearly visible twice, one right on top of the other. This minting error was relatively rare, which is why it has become such a sought-after find among collectors. Why is this double strike so valuable? Well, as with all rare minting errors, it all comes down to scarcity. While billions of pennies were minted in 1979, only a small fraction of them carry this double strike error. Most of these coins were quickly spent or melted down, leaving only a few in pristine condition. The rarity of these coins, especially in uncirculated condition, has caused demand for them to rise dramatically over the years. Collectors are always on the lookout for these rare error coins, and as word has spread about the 1979 double strike penny, its value has steadily increased. A well-preserved version of this coin can fetch an incredible price at auction, and it's highly prized by those who specialize in mint errors. So, how can you find one of these rare 1979 double strike pennies? Well, it's not easy, but it's certainly worth the effort. If you have any old pennies lying around, especially ones from 1979, make sure to inspect them carefully. Look closely at the mint mark and the date, and see if you can spot the telltale double strike. You can also check coin rolls, visit local coin shops, or even browse online auctions for 1979 pennies. But keep in mind, because of how rare these double strike errors are, they're not going to show up every day. If you do find one, make sure you get it verified by a professional. This could be a treasure waiting to be discovered. Now, the big question: how much is this rare 1979 penny really worth? If you find a well-preserved 1979 double strike penny in excellent condition, you could be sitting on a fortune. Believe it or not, a 1979 double strike penny could be worth a jaw-dropping $47,000. Yes, you heard that right, $47,000 for a single penny. That's the kind of money you could make by finding just one of these rare coins. Can you imagine? A penny worth $47,000. If you've got any pennies from 1979, now's the time to check them closely. You could have a hidden treasure just sitting in your collection. Thanks for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this video and want to discover more about rare and valuable coins, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on future discoveries. And if you've ever found a rare coin like this, we'd love to hear your story. Drop a comment below and share your experience. Until next time, happy hunting and happy collecting.